What is going on, guys? Welcome to Greggles TV. In this video, we're going to talk about setting up a Samsung Galaxy phone for an elderly person, someone that's older, someone that's not very familiar with technology. Now, you can set this up same as for a kid or someone that's not good with technology. So whoever you want to set it up for, really, in that regard. But this is going to be a really easy to use setup for a Samsung Galaxy phone. And this is assuming that you have their apps downloaded that they want, and also assuming that you have their contacts and things like that already in here as well. So without further ado, let's jump into the video. All right, so the first thing you want to do is you want to set up the buttons at the bottom. You can see I have my home button, my recent apps button, and my back button. Make sure that's turned on. As you know, gestures are kind of difficult to use for anybody, let alone a person that's not very comfortable with technology. So swipe down from the top, hit the gear on the top right, go into display, go down until you see your navigation bar, tap on that, set it to buttons right there, hit your home button, and you're good to go. Next, go back into settings, go into security and privacy, work your way down, go to biometrics. Make sure you set up face recognition. Also make sure you set up fingerprints. Go into face recognition real quick if you already have it set up or if you didn't. And go in there and make sure that stay on lock screen until swipe is turned off. Because what that's going to do is when the phone unlocks, it's going to automatically go into their phone. They're not going to have to swipe up to go home. So it's a smart way so they don't get stuck on the home screen. And also I would turn off require eyes. Make sure brighten screen is also turned on. Go back to the main screen of settings, go into lock screen, go into screen lock type. And for screen lock type, I would definitely set it to pin. The reason being, go in there 1, 2. So put a pin. They're going to be used to a number, and put something that's very familiar with them. Maybe it's their birthday. So if their birthday's January 12th, it'd be 0112, or the year they were born. Maybe they're born in 1955, so 1955. Something they're super familiar with and they will not forget. The other thing to do on here is check the box right here. You'll see confirm pin without tapping OK, so that when they do this, I'll lock the screen right here. Actually, if I lock it, it's gonna turn the screen up. But when the screen's locked, all they're gonna do is put in their PIN code if they're not using their face or their fingerprint, and they'll just put in 1, 2, 3, 4 or whatever the code is, and it'll automatically unlock. They do not have to hit OK. Back into settings, go into display and brightness. I would set this probably pretty high, especially as you get older. You know, seeing the screen, you want a brighter display. So I would probably set this to a pretty bright display, and I would probably turn off adaptive brightness, because at night in a dark environment, it's kind of hard to see these phones. So I would set the brightness to a really, really bright phone, to be honest with you. I know it kills the battery life more, but it's going to be easier for them to see in almost any lighting situation. I mean, you could play around, you could choose adaptive brightness, maybe they're fine with it, but if they're not, I would definitely turn the brightness up on the display really high. While still in display settings, go down and you're gonna see easy mode. Definitely, without a doubt, go in here, turn that on. It's a very important thing to do. It kind of like makes, and I'll just show you, you can read it right here. It says, use a simple home screen layout with bigger on-screen items, a longer touch and hold delay to prevent accidental actions, and a high contrast keyboard for better readability, and any customizations you've made to the home screen will be discarded. It just makes it so easy. I'm gonna show you my home screen. And you see it right here. It's very big. Everything's easy to see. It sets up contacts in here that they can just tap on the screen and call somebody or text them really simply. So make sure you do that. Also, when you're in the keyboard, I'll just bring up this. You can see my keyboard. It's really easy to read. It's high visibility. It's orange and yellow. The colors are pretty easy. You know, the numbers and stuff are easy to read. They look kind of bold. So definitely turn on that easy mode feature. Go back to the main screen of settings, go into general management, go into, you're gonna see passwords and autofill, tap on that. And where it says passwords, make sure it's set to Google. Also autofill service, tap on that. And now you can do autofill with Samsung Pass, but I actually like Google better to save all that. The reason being is if they have a computer, have them use Google Chrome, because it'll the passwords will save back and forth. Whereas if it's autofill with Samsung Pass, it's only going to work on Samsung devices. But you can use this autofill with Samsung if they only use a phone or a Samsung stuff. Fine, have them do that. But otherwise, switch it to Google. Google will save all their passwords for them, so they don't have to always remember all their passwords. Next, I would probably add some Google Maps widgets. I've already added some just to show you. So I have search on Google Maps. I can click a button and it will go and bring them home. You can set their address in there. Search for restaurants, search for coffee, search for hotels. But I've also added some other ones. I have a button here where they can share their location. And when they share it, they can share it for a specific time or until they turn this off, and they can share it with specific people. So if they tend to get lost, if they always have their phone on them, this is a really good way for you to be able to track your family member at all times, or your kid really at that moment. It will use some battery life, but maybe it's for the best. The other one I have set is, you can see it says Zuckerberg's. So if you can add little quick address buttons in here. So like maybe you want to, they just tap on Zuckerberg's and it brings them to their son or their daughters, or you add one and it brings them to work, or brings them to a recreation center or wherever. You can add those in. I'll show you how to add them. So what you do is press and hold on a blank spot, go to widgets and look for Google Maps. You're gonna see Maps in here, tap on it. And the one that I was showing you earlier would be directions. You press and hold on it and drag it to where you want. And then all you do is, where it says choose destination, type in the address of the location. And for the shortcut name, give it a name and then hit save at the bottom. And then it saves it right on your home screen. They can tap on it. And when they tap on it, automatically it loads up Google Maps and the address, and they just have to hit go. While we're still on the home screen, press and hold on a blank spot, go into settings, and make sure lock home screen layout is turned on. Hit the home button. With that turned on, they cannot move their home screen things. You'll see I'll press and hold on it. I can't drag it. Home screen layout is locked. You can unlock it in settings. Turn that on. I notice it all the time with elderly people or older people that aren't great with technology on an Android device. They always move around their home screen items. This stops them from doing it. Let's go back into settings. And we're gonna go back into safety and emergency. And there's a couple things you can do in here for them. For instance, you can add in their medical information. You can do all that for them and save it. You can go into emergency contacts and add emergency contacts if you want. Emergency SOS, turn that on. Basically, if they press and hold the power button 5 times, if they press it 5 times, it will go into an action and you can have it make a call for 911 or share information with emergency contacts. Emergency sharing, you can turn this on and it will submit information to emergency contacts. So I would definitely go through this stuff and add that for them. Back to the main screen of settings, go into lock screen again, and you're going to see always on display. I would make sure always on display is on, and I would have it set to show always. And the reason being is when they have the screen off, they're still gonna see the time. They don't have to like always turn their phone on. They can just pull it out of their pocket and see what time it is. So it's really important to do that, I think. Another thing I'd probably turn on, and they might love this, they might hate this, but I would potentially turn off auto rotate so that their phone stays in one orientation. Doesn't matter if they turn it left or right, it always stays in this portrait mode orientation. I know my father likes his phone set up like that. They might like that as well, so it might be something you want to turn on. And then lastly, if you can, if they're coming from like an iPhone or another Android phone, make sure the phone, especially if they liked it, make sure the home screens are set up the same exact way that they had it so that they have that memorization. They don't have to learn some new kind of setup. It might be proactive doing it that way. So there you guys go. There's a bunch of tips and tricks when you set up your phone for an elderly or young person or an older person or whatever it may be, a person not comfortable with technology, so it's easier to use their Samsung Galaxy phone. Have a great day. We'll see you down the road. Peace.